Ever wonder why some people spend thousands upgrading their plumbing and end up right back where they started, while others spend a fraction of that and their whole house runs better for years? I'll tell you, after 3 decades in the trade, I've seen homeowners throw money at the flashiest option when the smartest upgrades are usually the ones you never even see. Today, I'm walking you through 10 plumbing upgrades that are actually worth the money, including one at number 8 that could save someone in your house from a serious burn. And stick around for the bonus tip at the end, because that one alone could save you from a disaster. The first upgrade on our list is replacing your old shutoff valves with quarter-turn ball valves, and I cannot stress this one enough. If your house was built before the 1990s, there's a very good chance you've still got gate valves under every sink and behind every toilet. Those are the ones with the round handle you have to twist 5 or 6 full turns to close. Here's the thing, gate valves fail. They seize up from years of not being touched, or worse, the gate inside corrodes, and the valve won't fully shut off the water, even when you crank it closed. I've seen homeowners turn off a gate valve during a leak, think the water's stopped, start taking apart the faucet, and suddenly they've got a geyser in the vanity cabinet. A quarter-turn ball valve fixes all of that. You flip the lever 90 degrees and the water is off. Completely. Immediately. No guessing, no slow drip, no corroded gate hanging on by a thread. Brasscraft makes excellent ones, and you're looking at somewhere between $15 and $30 per valve, depending on the size. For a whole house, you might spend a couple $100 replacing every one, and I promise you, the first time you have an emergency and that lever snaps shut like it should, you'll know every penny was worth it. If you're not comfortable soldering, they do make quarter-turn valves with push-fit connections, and while I'm not a fan of push-fit as a permanent solution in most cases, on a shutoff valve that's accessible under a sink, it's a reasonable option. Just make sure you properly deburr and mark your pipe depth before you push it on. The second upgrade that pays for itself over and over is installing a pressure-reducing valve, or PRV. Most homeowners never even think about their water pressure unless something goes wrong, but here's what I want you to understand. Municipal water pressure can swing wildly depending on where you are in the system, what time of day it is, and what your utility is doing. If your house is running above 80 psi, and plenty of homes are, you're slowly destroying everything connected to your plumbing. Faucet cartridges wear out faster. Supply lines get stressed. Your water heater's relief valve might start weeping. Washing machine hoses get pushed to their limit. A PRV sits on your main water line right after it enters the house, and it steps that pressure down to a safe, consistent range, usually between 50 and 65 psi. The Watts LF25AUBZ3 is a solid unit that's been reliable for years. The valve itself runs $50 to $80, and if you're handy enough to cut into your main line and solder a couple fittings, you can install it yourself in an afternoon. If your pressure is already low, you obviously don't need one. But I'd recommend every homeowner buy a simple hose bib pressure gauge for about $10 and test their pressure before assuming everything's fine. You might be surprised at what you find. The third upgrade worth every dollar is swapping out your old supply lines for braided stainless steel ones. Now listen, this might sound boring compared to a fancy new faucet or a smart water heater, but I've seen more water damage from burst supply lines than almost any other single cause. If you look under your sinks or behind your toilets and you see white plastic lines, gray rubber lines, or anything that's stiff, cracked, or discolored, those need to come out today, not next weekend, today. A braided stainless steel supply line from Fluidmaster or Brasscraft costs somewhere between $8 and $15 each, and they're incredibly easy to install. You're literally just unscrewing the old one and hand-tightening the new one, then snugging it up about a quarter turn with channel locks. That's it. A burst supply line in a house where nobody's home can dump hundreds of gallons of water in a matter of hours. I've walked into insurance jobs where the entire first floor ceiling was on the ground because a 20-year-old toilet supply line let go while the homeowners were at work. $8 could have prevented $30,000 in damage. Replace them all at once, label the date with a piece of tape, and swap them again every 10 years. Simple as that. By the way, if you're finding this advice helpful, do me a small favor and hit that subscribe button down below. I put out new videos like this one every week, walking you through repairs that'll save you a small fortune in plumber bills. Subscribing is free, and it's the best way to make sure you don't miss the next one. All right, let's continue. The fourth upgrade on our list is a whole house water filtration system, and this one is a game changer if you've got hard water, heavy sediment, or just plain bad-tasting water coming out of your taps. A lot of folks start with a pitcher filter or one of those little faucet mount units, and those are fine for drinking water, but they do nothing for the water running through your water heater, your dishwasher, your shower, or your washing machine. A whole house system installs on your main line, usually right after the shutoff in the PRV if you've got one, and it filters every drop before it reaches a single fixture. The iSpring WGB32B is a solid three-stage unit that handles sediment, chlorine, and other contaminants for about $300 to $400. If you want to step up, the Aquasana EQ1000 is a premium option that lasts up to 10 years before the tank needs replacing. Beyond the taste and quality improvement, here's what a lot of people don't realize. Sediment in your water chews up faucet cartridges, clogs aerators, builds up in your water heater, and wears out washing machine solenoid valves. Filtering that out at the source extends the life of basically everything downstream. The install does require cutting into your main line and adding fittings, so if you're not comfortable with that, this is a reasonable one to hire out. But the parts and labor together are still cheaper than replacing appliances early because of bad water. The fifth upgrade, and this is a big one, is a tankless water heater. I'll be honest with you, I resisted these for a long time. I grew up with tank water heaters. My uncle installed tank water heaters, and they worked fine. But I've come around on tankless units, and here's why. A good tankless heater from Rinnai or Navian gives you genuinely endless hot water. No more timing your showers around the dishwasher or waiting 40 minutes for the tank to recover. They last 20 years or more, with basic maintenance compared to 8 to 12 for a standard tank. And because they only heat water when you're actually using it, your energy bills drop noticeably. Now, the upfront cost is real. You're looking at $1,000 to $3,000 installed, depending on whether it's gas or electric and what your existing setup looks like. Gas units need proper venting, and your gas line might need to be upsized to handle the BTU demand. That's why I say this is one of the upgrades where getting a professional involved makes sense unless you really know what you're doing with gas lines and venting. But if you're in your house for the long haul, a tankless unit pays for itself, and then some. Between you and me, I put one in my own house 4 years ago, and my only regret is not doing it sooner. The sixth upgrade we're going to talk about is a comfort height toilet, and if you're over 50, your knees already know why this one is on the list. A standard toilet sits about 15 inches off the floor. A comfort height toilet sits 17 to 19 inches, which is roughly chair height. That difference might not sound like much on paper, but when you're getting up and down multiple times a day, especially if you've got bad knees, a bad hip, or a bad back, it is night and day. The Kohler Highline is a rock-solid option that's been around forever, flushes beautifully, and runs about $200 to $250. The American Standard Champion 4 is another excellent choice with one of the most powerful flush mechanisms on the market. Swapping a toilet is well within most homeowners' ability. You're talking about draining the old one, unbolting it, scraping the old wax ring, dropping a new wax ring, setting the new toilet, and bolting it down. The whole job takes about an hour if you take your time. One tip from experience: When you set the new toilet on the wax ring, press it down with a slight rocking motion and then sit on it to compress the seal evenly. Don't over-tighten the floor bolts or you'll crack the porcelain base. Snug is enough. The seventh upgrade that deserves more attention is an expansion tank on your water heater. If you have a closed plumbing system, meaning your water utility has a check valve or backflow preventer on the line coming into your house, then thermal expansion has nowhere to go. Every time your water heater heats up a tank of water, that water expands. In an open system, that pressure pushes back out to the main. In a closed system, it pushes against everything inside your house, your pipes, your fittings, your water heater tank itself. Over time, that stress causes leaks, blown relief valves, and premature water heater failure. An expansion tank, like the Watts PLT5 or the Amtrol ST12, mounts on the cold water line, feeding your water heater, and absorbs that extra pressure with an internal bladder. They cost $40 to $80 and take maybe 30 minutes to install with a T-fitting and some pipe tape. A lot of newer building codes actually require these now, so if your house doesn't have one, you might technically be out of code. More importantly, you're shortening the life of your water heater every single day without one. The eighth upgrade on our list is an anti-scald thermostatic mixing valve, and this one could genuinely prevent someone in your household from getting seriously hurt. Here's how the problem works. Your water heater should be set to 120 degrees Fahrenheit to balance comfort and bacteria prevention. But some people crank it higher for various reasons, and even at 120 degrees, a sudden pressure drop, like when someone flushes a toilet while you're in the shower, can cause the cold water to momentarily drop and send a blast of hot water through. A thermostatic mixing valve controls the maximum outlet temperature, regardless of what's happening elsewhere in the system. The Honeywell AM101 and the Watts LFMMV are both dependable units that install on the hot water outlet of your water heater. They blend hot and cold to maintain a consistent, safe temperature at every fixture. For about $60 to $150, you're protecting everyone in the house, especially grandchildren, elderly family members, or anyone with reduced sensitivity to heat. This is one of those upgrades that costs almost nothing relative to what it prevents. I've seen scald injuries, and I'll tell you, once you've seen one, you never skip this upgrade again. The ninth upgrade is a PEX repipe, and I know this sounds like a major project, because it is, but hear me out. If your house has galvanized steel pipes, you know the signs. Low water pressure, rust-colored water when you first turn on a faucet, pinhole leaks that keep showing up in different spots. Galvanized pipe corrodes from the inside out, and once it starts, it doesn't stop. If your house has polybutylene pipe, that gray, flexible plastic that was popular in the 70s and 80s, you've got a different problem. Polybutylene reacts with chlorine in municipal water and becomes brittle over time. It can crack without warning. Insurance companies in some areas won't even cover homes with it. PX, which stands for cross-linked polyethylene, say it, PEX, rhymes with flex, is the modern solution. It's flexible. It resists freezing better than rigid pipe. It doesn't corrode, and it's dramatically easier to run through walls and floors than copper. Homeowner, formerly known as Wiersbo, makes what I consider the best PEX A on the market. A full house repipe runs anywhere from $2,000 to $6,000, depending on the size of the home and how accessible your pipes are. That's real money, no question. But if you're dealing with galvanized or polybutylene, it's not a matter of if you'll need to repipe, it's when. And doing it on your schedule is always cheaper than doing it after a catastrophic failure. The 10th and final upgrade on our list is swapping out your old hose bibs for frost-free Silcox. And if you live anywhere that gets below freezing, this one is essential. A standard hose bib has the shutoff mechanism right at the wall where the pipe passes through. That means, in cold weather, the water sitting in that short section of pipe between the shutoff and the outside of your house can freeze and crack the fitting. A frost-free silcock moves the actual shutoff point back inside the heated envelope of your house, usually 8 to 12 inches inside the wall. When you turn off the handle outside, the water drains out of that long stem by gravity, so there's nothing left to freeze. The Woodford Model 17 and the Prier P164 are both professional-grade silcocks that will last decades. They run $20 to $50 each, and installing one means cutting out the old hose bib, possibly extending the pipe slightly, and mounting the new silcock with a slight downward pitch so it drains properly. That pitch is critical. If the silcock is level or angled up even slightly, water will sit in the stem and you'll freeze out anyway. I've seen this done wrong more times than I can count. Take your time, use a torpedo level, and make sure that stem pitches down toward the outside. One more thing. Even with a frost-free silcock, always disconnect your garden hose before winter. A hose left connected traps water in the silcock and defeats the whole purpose. I've seen that mistake cause a burst pipe in a basement wall in January. And believe me, nobody wants to be soldering copper at 2 in the morning in a 30-degree basement. All right, now for the bonus tip I've been holding on to. And this one is something most homeowners have never even heard of. Install a water alarm, sometimes called a leak detector, at every major water connection in your house. I'm talking under every sink, behind every toilet, next to the water heater, by the washing machine, and near the dishwasher. These are small battery-powered discs, or puck-shaped sensors that sit right on the floor. The moment water touches them, they let out an alarm loud enough to hear from another room. You can get basic ones for about $10 to $15 each, or you can step up to smart versions from brands like Govee or Honeywell that send alerts to your phone even when you're not home. For under $100 total, you can cover every vulnerable spot in your house. The thing about water damage is it's almost never the leak itself that costs you. It's the hours or days that leak runs before someone notices. A $5 an hour drip behind a toilet on a Friday when you leave for the weekend turns into thousands of dollars of damage to your subfloor, your ceiling below, and everything in between. A $10 alarm turns that disaster into a minor inconvenience. Every single plumbing upgrade on today's list works better when you've got a safety net backing it up. That's how my Uncle Ray taught me, and that's how I'm teaching you. Before you go, if you got something out of this video, do me one last favor and hit that subscribe button. I put out new videos every week covering real-world plumbing repairs, money-saving tips, and the kind of know-how that takes years to pick up on the job. Subscribing costs you nothing, and it makes sure these videos show up in your feed when you need them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.